Well, I totally missed this 20-minute Nivalis gameplay walkthrough from last month, and I'm guessing you did too because it currently has less than 700 views, somehow. It was posted to the Indie Wavemakers channel and features Marco, the creative director at Ionlands, walking us through an early portion of the game. I've linked the full video below so you can check it out in full, and here I'm just going to go over some of the main points and some interesting details that I don't think have been shared about the game before. After that, I'll briefly go over the new monthly community blog post series that's posted up on the Nivalis Steam page. I'm going to try to crop out some of this stuff so we can get a better view of what's going on. If you've played Cloudpunk, then you'll know that the city of Nivalis is crumbling apart into the ocean. Things are only going to get worse, and the whole flooded worlds thing means our boat will be pretty important later on in the game. Nivalis is thousands of years old, and at this point no one's really sure how far back it actually goes. Ionlands is keeping things vague in terms of what year the game takes place in, and where on the planet it's located, so we can kind of use our imagination here. The whole place is run by CorpSec, the evil corporate overlords that are a part of any good cyberpunk media, so if you're not generating profit for them, then you're essentially useless. It's a good thing that our whole goal in the game is to expand our restaurant and nightlife business, starting with the noodle stand. And we are essentially the manager of this place, so while we don't need to be there to keep the place running, we do need to hire staff and stock ingredients according to what's on the menu. Some recipes will require us to have certain equipment installed in order to even make, and we can unlock more recipes through the experience gained when talking to new people or visiting new areas of Nivalis. Marco says in the video that the most important aspect for us is to be immersed in this space, to take time to look around. And they absolutely have created a world that makes me want to stop and smell the roses. Many but not all of the buildings you see can be entered, and you can even climb up to the top of some of them to get a better view. Speaking of views, take a look at this map. It truly is beautiful, and I think using pixel art here was a genius move that totally complements the voxel style that the rest of the game is made of. I also can't think of any other examples of 3D games that use a side view on their maps instead of a top-down one. But it makes sense here since the city was built up layer by layer and is very vertical. Marco also mentioned that Nivalis has 4 main story pillars that affect one another to create one big story. I'm not really sure what that means. Maybe one of the pillars is our restaurant business, another investigating the serial killer that's currently on the loose. Maybe big story beats like those. Not included in the 4 are all the NPC characters that have their own side stories. So you can rest assured that the narrative and our relationships with others are a big focus here. Kinda just living your life in the big city of Nivalis and seeing where things take you. Going a little bit deeper into that, we have the relationship matrix that I'm assuming will pop up each time you're talking to any character. The things we say to them will shift where our relationship lies. Friends or enemies, strictly business, or maybe romantic. I think it's a pretty cool feature that we get to see exactly what someone thinks of us. And it's not just based on one metric like the heart system in Stardew Valley, but something a little bit more complex. A couple other random things I want to mention before moving on to the Steam community post. We can print 3D meat in our greenhouse, among other types of food. When we're fishing, we can use this fish scanner to help pin down their location when searching for more elusive species. Different types of fish will also only appear in certain areas and at certain times of the day. We can rent or own multiple apartments at the same time, which could be helpful if we want to have different bases, I guess, throughout the city, or just really like interior decorating. And then there's this newspaper that we can read each morning, which will change depending on your actions in the game. It's also on a physical piece of paper, which is kind of funny since we live in such a high-tech cyberpunk place. At the end of the video, Marco did confirm there will be no early access and that Nivalis is still set to come out this year in 2024. In other news, the first monthly community blog is mostly about the photo mode in the game. I've personally never really messed around with photo modes before, but this might just be the game that changes that for me. Options will include the ability to change focus distance, aperture, focal length, field of view, and more, as well as filters and other image modification settings. And then last are some FAQs from fans. Nivalis uses Unity as its engine, just like Cloudpunk did. No Mac or console support plans yet, just PC for now. All the characters in the game, which is over 100 at this point, will have fully voiced and mocapped dialogue scenes. No mod support has been planned, but it's still possible that we could get a demo before release. A final decision hasn't been made about that yet. Of course, I'd love to get a taste of this game before it comes out, but I also get that spending the extra time to make a dedicated demo takes away from the time you could have spent finishing the game. And that does it for my first Nivalis update video of the year. If you've been following the channel, then you'll know that this is a game I love to talk about. One of my first real videos was about Nivalis, back before we even had a trailer. And if you'd like, you can catch up on all those videos here.